All right, so before I start this, I want to give a big shout out to a YouTuber named Polly Walnuts. I mean, if you're seeing this channel, you've almost definitely seen his. His channel is much larger than mine and somewhat similar videos. He made a video very similar to this one about 2 weeks ago now, and it's a really good one. I recommend that you check that out too. So I'm gonna put that at the top of my description down below. I just wanted to hop on here and share some of my personal feelings and opinions slash beliefs on the same topic. So, which is weed, by the way. That's probably should fucking start with that next time. I've always had kind of controversial opinions on weed. Like when I grew up and went to high school, especially the area I lived in wasn't very fond of that. So I was born in a state that glorifies weed a lot, heavily. I grew up in California until I was about 13, 14. Right? Everybody in my family, they're okay with that. Even the most conservative members of my family fucking smoke weed. So when I moved to a very conservative state when I was 13 or 14, I think I was 13, about to turn 14. I had to defend that a lot to my friends, to my teachers, to the point where I was just over defending it just to defend it, right? Like I would convince myself that it wasn't harmful. I would say, well, it's a plant, how could it be harmful? That's what people that fucking do opium say, at the end of the day. Um, so in my opinion, like I said, it's still just a plant. There's much worse things out there, but it got to the point where I was fucking annoying about it. In freshman year of high school, I did a project for my government class that heavily defended medical marijuana, and I still do. I personally do have a med card, but I was 14 years old making a headline for our poster saying you can't spell healthcare without THC, which fucking bars. I was kind of killing it back then. And then there's a couple problems with the way I viewed it back then, right? The problems with convincing yourself is that you make excuses for very real problems at the end of the day, right? Like if I'm having trouble sleeping, or if I'm stressed about something and I just go, roll a J and smoke it. That's not fixing the problem. That's like putting a band-aid on it, and that's not what you want to be doing. But in the moment, I would tell myself, well, I have insomnia. Like, what other option do I have? You can't take melatonin every night. That's not great to be doing that every night either. So there are, pros and cons, just like with everything in life, but a lot of effects like I didn't realize because I've been a stoner for a while. I mean, growing up, like I said, a lot of my family members smoke weed. My parents would have been fine with me smoking weed back when I was in high school. And I did. I just didn't tell them that I did because I didn't want them to view me differently, if that makes sense. But there's a lot of bad effects. I realized when I stopped smoking, because I haven't been for a while now since I've been unemployed. I'm not going to spend money on something that, I would view as a luxury. So it's been a couple months since I've smoked, and I don't really miss it that much anymore. I like the social aspect of hanging out with some friends sometimes and doing that, but that'll always be there. I'd never say I'm not going to smoke again. It's just right now I don't miss it. I don't feel like I need it anymore. I also have dreams again, like a really vivid dreams, which is a cool thing because that's something I didn't really believe. Like I always dreamt. I never stopped having dreams when I smoked, but they were, it was like a very bland dream, I guess, that if I could put it that way. And maybe I'm just convincing myself, right, that I'm okay without doing it and maybe like making myself do it. But if I'm having the cooler dreams and all that, it's still happening, whether it's placebo or not, it still happens. And I think that's pretty cool. So, without weed, I also feel much more motivated. It's like, in my opinion, it's the equivalent to eating healthy after you eat a fuck ton of, like Taco Bell or McDonald's. It's the same as like when you just stop doing that and you start, hey, I'm gonna home cook everything. That's like the how much my body feels better. And that might not be the way right way to phrase that, but I love that. And so that's something that I don't think I really am gonna like. I kind of miss smoking, but not really. Right? I miss it, like I said, for that social aspect, but I don't miss it in the sense that I felt groggy a lot, not really that cool of dreams. I used it as like a band aid to help myself sleep. I will say without it, I'm having a much harder time falling asleep because I've used it for that for so long. That's why I have my medical card for my insomnia. So there is pros and cons for everything. And honestly, I do think the way we treat weed in our country is a problem because I don't think that weed is bad by itself. There are significantly worse things. I think we just need to change our kind of perspective on it, right? We grew up in the generation, at least I did. I'm 24 years old, where it was weed should be legal, weed should be legal, these are all legal. And I agree with that. But just because alcohol is worse doesn't make weed not bad. And if you're doing it time to time, if you're smoking every now and then, taking edibles every now and then, you're not going to get hurt. It's not going to have any long term effects that I know of. I mean, I'm not a fucking licensed medical professional, so please don't take my opinion on that. But I truly believe that it's not harmful in time to time or anything along those lines. And I just I'm kind of glad I don't smoke anymore, which is a weird thing that I never really thought I'd say because I've been really pro weed for my entire life. And I'm not anti weed now. Like I said, I still, if you're smoking, do your thing. Like it should be legal. I think in my opinion, we should live in a free country. Do what you want. It's your body, your rules at the end of the day. But yeah, so I guess what I kind of want to know are what are your thoughts on weed? Like let me know down in the comments. I respond to every comment every time without fail because I do appreciate it. But yeah, I'd love to know your guys' thoughts and opinions on it. Or if any of you guys from different countries, 'cause I'm from America. I probably should have said that, but I guess if you're not from America, I would have an accent that kind of tells you I am from America. Um, but yeah, I'm really curious what your guys' opinions are, what your local laws are regarding it, and if you agree with those laws. So yeah, thank you very much and for stopping and listening. Appreciate it.